Thank you so much guys for coming back on this channel to watch this video. Yes, I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated game of all time, which is Silent Hill 2 Remake. Silent Hill 2 is one of the best, if not the best, horror game of all time. Now Silent Hill 2 was popular, but it wasn't popular because of its gameplay, and it wasn't popular because the game introduced some new elements to the horror genre. But what it deals with a character study. It deals with a character who is your main protagonist called James Sunderland, who comes to this eponymous ghost town called Silent Hill to find his wife. Now the funny thing is, his wife Mary passed away a couple of years ago.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
Now the game unravels the character study for James Sunderland. The main protagonist is not the one-dimensional character you play in a lot of video games. A lot of horror games, you got a character who's just there to serve the purpose for the game, or he may be just a good guy and he stays a good guy throughout the game. It's very one-dimensional. But not in the case of Silent Hill 2, because the character you think might be the best guy ever and you might feel sympathy for him, the town itself unravels to you that this guy might be holding to some secrets which you might don't know. But the best thing about Silent Hill 2 is that the town feels alive. It feels it has a conscience to what you're doing. It plays with your mind, it plays with your elements of fear. Even when you're walking down the street, you don't feel safe, because even when there is nothing there, you're just still scared of that town. Because you feel town is actually a character in the game. And that's the sort of feeling you don't get with the games these days, and that's just a one element of the game which makes the greatest game of all time. Now this game is coming out again, as in the form of a remake, and Bloober team is actually making the game, but I think Silent Hill 2 Remake might be the biggest game of all time. Now it is just my opinion, I'm not saying that's the fact. It might turn out to be the worst game of all time, but in this video I'm going to give you the reasons as to why I think that there is the element, or we need to keep that in mind, which might make this game as the greatest game of all time. Now the Silent Hill 2 was actually made by a dedicated team in Konami. They were called Team Silent. Now that team was very dedicated. They made sure that that game, when it came out, yes, it wasn't groundbreaking as Resident Evil 4, but they made sure that that game felt out of this world, which means everything in that game, from sound to the level design to the creature design, it had to be unique. Now the music in Silent Hill 2, the sound design actually was done by Akira Yamaoka. Now Akira Yamaoka, who worked on the original Silent Hill 1, 2, 3 and so on, his music was one of the best musics ever, because it actually felt you are in this eerie little town.
Yamaoka also produced all the sound effects, a total of 50 sounds, not counting the nuances.
There's actually symbolism in that music. It feels more like a story from the start to the end, and the sound at the same time is becoming more eerie and you get more uncomfortable with the game. Now the same guy who worked on the original Silent Hill 2 is coming back to work on Silent Hill 2 Remake. He's actually very excited. He's been excited for a couple of years. He actually posted a few things throughout his Twitter account, and there's a video actually, so which I can put the link in the description box, you can go watch it. He talks about how much he's excited to come back and do the Silent Hill 2 game again. Now the second thing about that game, which made that game very special for me, it's actually the level design. Now the creatures you fight in that game, they are actually the manifestation of James' subconsciousness. Now the town actually wants to punish James, so how he punishes it with his own demons, in his mind, in his thoughts. The main antagonist in that game, Pyramid Head, is actually an executioner who's constantly chasing James to punish him for what he did. Same guy who worked on Silent Hill 2, Masahiro Ito, he's coming back also for the Silent Hill 2 remake. Just like Akira Yamaoka is very excited for this game. Now if you watch the trailer, which if you haven't, go watch the trailer. The whole game is actually getting made in Unreal Engine 5. The strongest parts for me for Silent Hill 2 was the soundtrack and the level design, and the same people who worked on the original Silent Hill 2 game, they're actually coming back for the remake. Now I know Bloober team has actually worked on a similar sort of game called The Medium, and it was quite boring for a lot of people. I personally enjoyed it. I think it's decent, but a lot of people hated that game, which I can understand why. But I think we should give them a chance because of these two elements which made original Silent Hill 2 what Silent Hill 2 is today. Now if you haven't watched the video, you can watch a video where Bloober team is actually talking about how much they're excited for Silent Hill 2 remake. They actually talk about they're actually original fans of Silent Hill series, and that's the reason why they went into horror gaming. I think they are aware of how much of a big deal that is if they mess this game up, and I think they're not going to do that. I think they're going to do pretty much a copy paste of the story beats. I think Masahiro and Akira would help them with a new soundtrack and a new level design, which would be similar but also different at the same time. And I think the gameplay itself, it's going to feel very modern because the camera is going to be over the shoulder. Now this game can turn out to be one of the worst games ever. Based on the trailer I saw, I think there is a potential. I think we should give them a chance. For me, I think the reason why we should give a chance, because Silent Hill 2 was pretty much dead. Silent Hill genre was dead. I think they're coming back. Now they don't have a team, and they're leveraging on these other developers to make the games for them. And I'm also excited for Silent Hill Townfall and Silent Hill F, which is going to be more like a Japanese Silent Hill game. And I think they're bringing the franchise back, which has been dead or been on slumber for ages. A lot of people have been criticizing the remake, and yes, I agree that we have to be careful. We have to set our expectation in level because they're not as big as Naughty Dog or Rockstar Studios, but I think they have the potential to make a psychological horror game because that's what they tried to do with The Medium. The problem with that game was the budget was very low. You can feel that game was cheap, and I think the gameplay was very sluggish and very boring. Now there's going to be combat in Silent Hill 2, so it's not going to be just like The Medium, so you will be happy with that. Now based on the pictures they've released on their website, it actually looks really good. Now let's look at the elements why this game could be one of the greatest games ever. We're talking about gameplay, and I think the gameplay, as I mentioned before, looks solid. There is some leaked footages people saw and people mentioned. It looks okay. It looks decent. They can polish that up. Soundtrack, which is one of the big things for me in the games, is actually getting done by Akira. He's coming back and he's going to do his own thing. Now the level design and the creature design, it's going to be pretty similar to what the Silent Hill 2 was, because the original creator who worked on the game is coming back for the remake. And also the Bloober team itself, I think they can do a good psychological horror game. I think they deal with the genre. I think they have a bit of learning, and I think they learn from their previous games. I hope they have, and I think they can apply that on this game. And I think there is a lot of elements which people are forgetting, which are there, but people are just looking at the Bloober team and they're thinking the game might not be great. So I think under the supervision of from Masahiro and Akira, I think the game at least would be good, if not great. Now this is just my opinion, because I love Silent Hill 2. And not just Silent Hill 2, I love the whole franchise. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my opinion or do you disagree? Either way, let me know in the comment section down below in the video. So yes guys, thank you so much for watching this video. So I'll bring another video for you guys. Until then, look after yourself. See you later.